Howdy, Tumbleweed here. I'm pleased to announce that we have a special guest today. I've managed to coax Texas Ranger Captain Luke Dunn to sit for an interview. Now he's a humble man, and it's been a while since his exploits on the Texas Nueces Strip of the late 1850s. But he's sitting right here in my office. My neighbors are likely wondering at that big gray stallion hitched out front of my house. Anyway, Luke won't let me get him in front of the camera, so you'll just have to trust me that the famous Texas Ranger is in fact here. Good morning, Luke. I hope you don't mind me calling you by your first name.
Morning, Luke's fine.
That's a fine Colt revolver you've got there, Luke. You have a license for that?
Have I got a what?
Oh, sorry. I guess you don't need a license.
Well, since you asked, this is a Colt Frontier. Colt Firearms Company began manufacturing them in the early 1870s. This is a 45 caliber and I'm partial to its 7.5-inch barrel. It makes it look a bit more accurate.
Whew, as I understand it, you've been a lawman since 1854 when you arrived from Ireland. Why did you take up being a lawman?
It was the right thing to do.
Well, it makes sense, but could you tell our listeners exactly why?
It's about freedom. Folks like me came to America because it offered opportunity to build a new life of their own making. But freedom had to be protected from folks who aimed to steal it away. I mean, delivering justice. That's why I became a deputy sheriff and then a Texas Ranger.
Well, from what we've heard, you're one of the best Texas Rangers ever.
And some might say that. But I like to think I was a better husband and a father than a Texas Ranger.
Well, Luke, isn't there a big difference between rangering and ranching?
Texas Ranger or rancher. Pretty much the same dangers lurk for either. Prairie fires, blizzards, floods, stampedes, and desperate killers, rustlers, and savages. They're all part and parcel whether lawman or rancher. Just about anywhere I rode, death could be reaching for my bridle reins. Either life worked for me, but I had a call to be a lawman.
I expect our listeners are going to understand that. Now, you mentioned family. Can you share more?
Not really. I love Alyssa. We have several children.
Well, we all respect your privacy, Luke.
Are we going to be talking much longer?
Yeah, I know that horse is waiting out there. Just a couple more questions, Luke. I really do appreciate your time. We understand that you brought many lawbreakers to justice, but redemption had played a role. Sounds like a tough decision. How did you figure out who was worthy of hanging and who of saving?
Good question, Mr. Tumbleweed. If we look real hard into the souls of folks who've run afoul of the law, we can often sense, goodness begging you to come to the light of day. It's a gut feeling, sort of intuitive thing. Mind you, I couldn't legally play judge and jury, but the frontier was a rough place and quick decisions were often necessary.
Well, in light of that, how did you maintain your moral values those many years fighting lawlessness?
I reminded myself of Christ's words in Matthew chapter 5, where we set our house up on a hill to light the world for all to see. When you do that, you're exposed. You dare not stray from virtue. It's arguably what keeps us free as a nation. We're like a city on a hill, a shining example for all the world to see. As long as we follow that, we'll surely keep our republic.
Makes sense. I think I understand. I wish more folks thought that way. Now, if we could step back to your Texas Ranger experiences, Luke, please share a couple that stand out.
Honestly, the pursuit of a lawbreaker stands out. Bad Bart Strong was about as evil as they come and met an appropriate end. Carlos Perez was a victim of his own vengeful nature, but I prefer to dwell on folks who strove to overcome their wayward lives like Laredo or Scarlet Rose.
You also seem to have a special relationship with some Comanche savages.
I expect you're thinking of that Comanche chief Three Toes. We did become friends. He called me the Ghost Who Rides. We tried to better understand each other. Maybe my own experience persecuted by the British in Ireland gave me an appreciation for the chief's situation. But there was a lot of tension on the Nueces Strip. Indians, Mexicans, blacks, ranchers, farmers. Seems that the frontier that offered some folks a fresh start could rub some differences a bit raw. Three-Toe Soul's culture disappeared, and he was a good man.
Luke, of all the people you've encountered, does anyone especially stand out?
And I would have to be my wife, Alyssa. She fought off Comanche attack in her family's homestead, killed an outlaw that was coming after me, mostly raised our 10 children while I was rangering, and also manages to cook, sew, churn butter, tan hides, butcher beef, and all those things that make for a successful ranch. Most important, we love each other unconditionally.
Wow, I do thank you for your time, Luke. Do you have any final comment you'd like to share with our listeners?
And just to thank you for chronicling my adventures in your Tumbleweed sagas. And to remember that everyone and anyone can enjoy freedom, but there are all lawbreakers out there looking to take it from folks unwilling to defend it. And a shout out to my Alyssa and Arlene.
Thanks, Luke. We've just had the pleasure of an interview with Texas Ranger Captain Luke Dunn. His legendary adventures can be found in my epic series of novels called the Tumbleweed Sagas. In fact, Nueces Deceit, the third Tumbleweed Saga, will be released this coming Tuesday, August 11th. My sagas are available online in print, audio, and ebook from all popular retailers. You can learn about the author, Mark Greathouse, and his writings at defiancepress.com. Go to his website at tumbleweed.me or check his Facebook page at Tumbleweed Sagas. Now, you Texans, you can catch me this Friday at 2 o'clock talking about my Tumbleweed Sagas with Doc Green on Raging Elephants Radio. Meanwhile, y'all do take care now, and thanks again to our guest, Captain Luke Dunn.